In today's video, I bring to you something very, very interesting, and I'm pretty sure it's going to interest you. You know, we are seeing white people in this country, South Africa, right now, speaking their minds, saying we want to take their land, we are doing reverse apartheid on them. There's a lot of things that white people are saying right now with regards to this whole land expropriation without compensation. A lot of false information is out there, and it is perpetuated by racist white South Africans. You know, that's the distinction. The racist white South Africans are the ones that mostly have a problem with this land redistribution bill. Mostly it's the racist white people, but those are not the only white people that we have here in South Africa. And I always say this, Uguti, yes, white people, there's a lot of racist white people in this country, and we are seeing them right now. They've been in the shadows all these years, but right now they've come to the light. We see them. Good eye. When you are just racist, why are you against something that seeks to make sure that equality is a thing in our country? Why do you have a problem with that unless you have a problem with black people? You know what I mean? But those are not the only white people we have here in South Africa. You know, white South Africans, there's two types of white South Africans, and I'm going to show you those two types in this video. That's why I'm saying it's very interesting. It was interesting for me, you know, when I got hold of these two clips, because I was like, this is the difference between white South Africans. There are two types of white South Africans. But before I play you these two clips so that you can see the different types of white people in South Africa, let me say that the first clip that I'm going to play is a white South African who relocated to America. And as I was doing my research on this man, apparently this man, the reason he went to America is that he scammed his fellow white South Africans years back. So this man apparently was collecting donations from white people in South Africa, telling them that he's going to go to America and then go to the presidency there in America to tell them that in South Africa there's white genocide. In South Africa, white people are being abused by the black people. So that was his whole mission. And then he connected donations from white people, and then he went to America and never came back. He went there as if he was going to advocate for white people in South Africa years back, and then when he got there with all that donation money, he decided to establish himself in America and never come back to South Africa. When people were asking about their monies, he was nowhere to be found. So keep that in mind whenever you are listening to the first clip. Keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind, because it shows you what type of person he is. So everything that he says, you shouldn't take it serious, because a person who can scam his own countrymen and go to another country, and then now he's back on the spotlight acting as if South Africa is a very bad country, but he's the one who scammed South Africans and ran to America, you know. And then the second clip that I am going to play is a white South African who lives here in South Africa, who knows the true realities of South Africa. So we have a white South African who doesn't live in South Africa anymore, and we have a white South African who lives in South Africa. I want you to listen to these two people, their mentalities, and then tell me on the comment section down below whether do you agree with me when I say there are two different types of white people in South Africa. And the ones with the problem always seek validation from outside countries. They are always interested on what America is saying about South Africa, on what this country is saying about South Africa. But the non-racist white South Africans that are here in South Africa, who actually want to see this country progress, are not out there spreading false information. The only people who are out there spreading false information are the racist white South Africans. Let me just play these two clips for you, and then you'll tell me on the comment section down below whether do you spot the difference between the mentalities of the racist white South Africans and the non-racist white South Africans. Listen to these two videos and then tell me on the comment section down below. But if you just enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. My name is Emmanuel, and this is Mzansi Versity, the place where we transform lives through knowledge and information. Let's meet again on another video.
Hi, my name is Jason Bartlett and I'm a white South African. I currently live in the United States and I came here illegally in 2019 and I pleaded for asylum. Now you ask yourself, why on earth would a white South African plead for asylum? Well, I'll give you a few reasons. South Africa is the rape capital of the world. It is one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world. It is the current government systematically goes out and murders the white farmers. The very people that feed them are being tortured and brutally slaughtered on a daily basis. The rape capital of the world, the infant rape capital of the world. Now, you go onto social media and you, of course, just like America, we've got screaming liberals that have got a woke mind virus. And they will tell you that everything's honky-dory in South Africa. But they don't tell you that those are the multimillionaires who live in estates behind 10-foot fences that are electrified and paid security guards to monitor those areas for 24 hours. Just other side those fences, people can't stop at a stop sign after 7 o'clock at night. People can't go for a walk at 7 o'clock at night. Maybe a couple of men can go. But you know what? How about the women? They can't go anywhere when the sun sets. You can consider them raped, you can consider them abused, and you can consider them kidnapped. What happens in South Africa is pure evil. Now, I came to America, I came here legally, and I came and I established myself. And as a true South African, like Joe Rogan says, America needs more people that are not losers. And I'm not a loser. I came over here with a few $100s and a suitcase, and I've developed a career for myself. I'm now a superintendent of a golf course. I pay a lot of tax. I support the government. I support the American flag, and I support the American people. I also became a qualified pilot. I am in charge of a farmer's market, as well as I now run a 150-acre farm of my own, where I raise cattle and sheep, all grass-fed and all for the American people, because that's in my blood. That's what I do. And what the most detrimental part to my soul is the fact that people can stand up and say everything's okay in South Africa. Because that is my reality. I came here because I've been through some traumatic experiences, including myself and my wife. We've lost family members. We've lost people that we love. And the day-to-day basis of crime and atrocities that are happening in South Africa is something that we don't want to live with. We wanted to come to America, live the American dream, and by the grace of God, we have achieved that.
Hey, lovely people, and particularly a quick word to my American friends who might be tempted to believe what Donald Trump is saying about South Africa, my home country, where I happen to be right now. Him and Elon Musk are racist twats who have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Because what they're doing is taking the word of a fringe racist group called AfriForum and other disaffected whites, disgruntled by the end of apartheid, feeling hard done by, and much like the Israelis, victimizing themselves when they are not victims at all, bitching about how land redistribution is racist against whites. These are such ignorant provocateurs, and it's going to backfire on them. South Africans' majority, the black majority, and it's a multiracial, multi-tribal society now, only own a tiny proportion of the land versus the size of their population. And while white South Africans make up 7% of the population, more or less, they own about 70% of the decent land. And so the redistribution of land is to address past inequities, and the vast majority of South Africans agree and understand why that's happening and that it's a good thing. It's also under a very strict mechanism. Now, not everyone agrees, of course, with the mechanism, but the principle is what racists like Musk and Trump are railing against here on behalf of a bunch of assholes who equate equality with oppression, because for so many years, decades and decades of the apartheid era, they were the oppressor. And as we know, whenever the oppressor looks at something like equality, it suddenly becomes oppression of him. So fuck Elon Musk, fuck these idiots from AfriForum. You probably know nothing about them, but this is a bunch of, the equivalent of your kind of Proud Boys hanging on to some past that never actually existed. and a past in which the vast majority of people in this country were oppressed, suppressed, and treated much like, fortunately not quite as badly as the Israelis treat the Palestinians. So this whole railing against South Africa, I'm going to add one more point. South Africans on the whole, all of us, white, black, Indian, colored, which is not a term, is a specific term for those of you who might get offended by that, a specific racial group. We are very, very resilient people. As a country, we have gone through a great deal, both in terms of the early part and then the transition from the apartheid era to genuine multicultural democracy. And whatever Trump throws at us, we can handle it, because we've been through far, far worse in our history. And my hope is that South Africans all turn around with one voice and tell Trump to fuck off with his sanctions and his fucking withdrawal of aid and his tariffs and all of this stuff, because we can live through it. What I'm not sure about is whether Americans can, because for the most part, all the stuff that Vivek Ramaswamy said recently about Americans being soft, not prepared to put in the hard graft, and all this stuff, I tell you, for the experience of most foreigners is true. And it's not true of every American I know. Some of them are the most hardworking, wonderful people in the world. But as a general principle, South Africans are far more resilient and able to withstand this kind of bullshit authoritarian pressure than any American population. So to my fellow South Africans, let's stick this out. Let's stick up the middle finger to Trump, and particularly to Elon Musk, because we know from his background that he left South Africa in the apartheid era and retains the racist bullshit that's motivating these people like Creel. And now that I'm in South Africa, I'm seeing their awesome, ridiculous tweets. Fuck those guys as well. They're the past. Most of us are the future, and it's a beautiful future.